Hey everyone, this is Ken from Neon Goldfish. Marketing can be tricky, and simply getting any response should not be considered a win. Your goal should be getting a response from the most ideal customer that you can think of. Furthermore, having them feel educated and more sales ready when they initially contact you is even better. In this episode of the Neon Noise podcast, Justin and I discuss buyer personas, what they are, why you should take the time to create one or more for your marketing and sales efforts. We hope our conversation gives you a solid understanding of buyer personas and the information you need to get started in creating your own. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Neon Noise podcast. This is Justin and Ken. Hope you are all doing well. Hey Ken, what do you want to discuss today?
Well, Justin, today I think we should talk about buyer personas.
Buyer personas, all right.
Specifically what they are, why they're important, and even how you go about creating them.
All right, Ken. So I heard you say that buyer personas are the PEDs of the marketing world. What exactly do you mean by that?
All right. So I have made mention that buyer personas are the PEDs of the marketing world. Anyone that's a sports fan, they'll recognize the acronym PEDs as performance enhancing drugs. Right. So
not exactly what I think about when we're talking marketing.
Right. No.
Go ahead.
Maybe not the most positive of analogies here, but stick with me for a second. All right.
Right on.
So we've heard Mark McGuire, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez. They're all been accused of using these PEDs. In PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, they provide an athlete an advantage over the other athletes by enhancing muscle growth, strength, reducing their body fat. They help with recovery time. Sure, this term has a bad stigma, but I think its overall purpose applies here. So developing a buyer persona, it's going to help elevate your marketing and sales efforts above the norm to give you an unfair advantage or that competitive advantage that we all search for, right?
Okay. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know what a buyer persona is, what the definition is, it's a semi-fictional representation of your ideal customers. They represent the perfect customer you wish would walk in your door and buy from you. For example, we work with quite a few home improvement companies, right?
Yep.
Let's imagine that you are a home improvement contractor. Your phone rings constantly for a wide variety of different types of jobs. You get all kinds of calls, everything from replacing shingles that were damaged from the storm last week to somebody that wants to put an addition on their home that might include a kitchen remodel or something along those lines. Most contractors in this instance would prefer the home addition that included a kitchen remodel because it's probably a larger ticket and it probably has better margins.
Sure.
So, why not do business? Why not target that type of buyer directly as opposed to everybody else, right?
Right. Trying to be the everything to everyone, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that buyer persona, creating your focal point or a buyer persona around that person, that consumer that wants that home addition with the kitchen remodel. Let's hope that's in there too, is the goal here. Now let's look at negative personas as well. These are also a thing. It's kind of the bizarro world of the buyer persona. It's those folks that are the shingle repair. This negative persona is important to create because then we can identify who we don't want to do business.
Sure.
You think about all the money that's spent marketing to the wrong people. If we create this negative persona, we can exclude those. And then we create the buyer persona. We know what specific buzzwords we need to include, what type of messaging is going to resonate with them, where they hang out line, where their consumer behaviors lie. Right. Ultimately, leading to speaking to the people that we want to do business with in the end.
Right. All right. Well, I mean, this all sounds great. What are the best ways to go about creating your buyer persona? There's
lots of ways to go about creating the buyer persona. obviously getting started and just doing so, I think that the best starting point is your current customers.
True.
Right? You're likely you have existing customers that are going to be more than happy to share some of the details that you're going to need in creating this buyer persona.
Right.
You can flatter them with a compliment, how great of a customer they were, and ask them if flattery works. Ask them if they can learn a little bit more about what you did that attracted them to your business.
Yeah.
And got that one-on-one conversation. I mean, an online survey can make sense if you got a large group you want to tackle.
Right.
If you can do one-on-one, though, you'll get better feedback and more insights.
Anytime you can have that one-on-one conversation, it's probably going to be more ideal. What about talking to your sales team? They talk to prospects every day. They may have inside tracks to, exactly what their goals are, challenges, objections of, what that buyer persona would look like, talking to them about prospects and, prospects that didn't turn into customers, for your negative buyer persona. That would be extremely helpful as well, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. The sales team, I think, is often overlooked when, for input and they're looking for better leads. So if there's things we can do on the marketing side to, speak to that target customer. I mean, sales is they're in the business of closing deals down and making commissions. So if we can get them better leads that are more qualified, better ticket, better margins, they're going to be happy too. So they should likely be more than happy to participate in helping you there.
All right. So then we've got good old fashioned research. After talking to your best customers in sales, you should have a pretty good feel for your buyer personas. Put yourself in their shoes and, turn to the interweb for additional insights. Try to search like they would search, find blogs, industry influencers, industry resources, forums that they might reference. Just really digest everything that they're talking about.
Yeah, nope. That's a little bit of elbow grease. I mean, it's just a manual labor that goes into that.
Goes a long way,
but it's going to go a long way. So when you go in you get through the research, you've talked to your sales team, you've talked to your customers. Some of the areas that we should really focus on, because okay, great, I got this understanding of who this is, but we want to put this on paper. I mean, we're creating a semi-fictional representation of our target customer. So some of the things that you want to include is their background. What is their background? Details about the job they hold, their career path, how they got there, even their family life. There's influences from their personal lives that carry over into what their buying and consuming habits can be. If that's a B2B client, if a B2C, obviously that takes place directly. Demographics, information about their gender, their age, their income, where they live, some of their behavioral habits, type of personality they have, if they're the introvert or the extrovert. Do they have a preferred method of communication? Do they like to be, emailed versus phone, a phone call received?
Sure.
What are their goals? What do they focus on at home and at work? Challenges, things that provide resistance to obtaining their goals. Some of the common objections, reasons that they would not buy your product or service. What are, what are some of those common things that they say? Let's get those on paper. And then lastly, what are some real quotes that they'd say? Some of the things they'd say regarding their goals and challenges. So to make things easier, and if you're jotting these down or you're in the car and you're trying to remember all this, to make things easier, we actually created a how to create a buyer personas for your business download. It's a guide. We'll give you details on where you can download that later here in the podcast.
All right. So here are some ways that you can benefit from more defined buyer personas. A likely increase in your marketing ROI. Gone are the days of the spray and pray marketing campaigns. Making changes to your design and message placement of your marketing messages to be more in line with the interest of your buyer personas. It's likely going to yield a higher return on the dollars spent in marketing. Couple that with closed loop marketing software, and you'll be amazed, roughly how much insight you can now have.
Absolutely. Another is more quality leads. When you position your business in front of the proper audience and you key in on the things that matter most to them, you're going to generate more quality leads.
Yep.
And then an increase in those quality leads is going to generate a higher lead to customer conversions, resulting in more sales. Simple, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Marketing and sales will be better aligned. With marketing and sales focused on the same defined buyer persona, they can identify and communicate with one another much better. Feedback from sales will assess marketing, and marketing in turn will provide better leads to sales.
Absolutely. And also improving future product development, I think, is something we could touch on. Better understanding your customers is also going to identify what other areas they may need help opening doors of opportunity for new products and services that you could create or start to provide. This will help better serve your customer base today and tomorrow, strengthening your overall customer relationship.
Absolutely. All right. So what are the next best steps to creating our buyer persona? We've got this how-to guide that we're going to download. Did we provide a URL for where they can locate that at?
Yeah. So to start off, next steps, let's download the how to create buyer personas for your business. You can find the URL in the show notes, neongoldfish.com/podcast. And this will serve as your guide for creating your buyer personas. It's going to touch on all those specific areas that we mentioned earlier.
Right. Okay. So 2 would be, let's make a list of your best customers that closely resemble the type of customer you'd like to do business with. Just go through your customer list and, take a peek and identify exactly who it is that is your best customer and try to replicate that.
Absolutely. And then connect with those customers, whether it's via phone, email, you set an appointment with them, you do an online survey. I know we've used SurveyMonkey in the past for these, and it works really well. Although I will warn you, the surveys do take some encouragement to get completed. So don't get discouraged if you send out a survey to 200 customers and only 2 fill it out. You might have
everybody's not going to respond that first time.
So as nice as that would be, and if you do have that happen, give me a call and tell me what you did.
All right.
Next, work with your sales team. Learn more about the conversations that they're having with the current customers you have and the prospects they're talking with on the phone.
Right. And then leverage the internet. We talked a little bit about it. Act as your buyer persona. Try to mirror exactly ways that they would search and look for answers and problems with your product and services.
Sure. And then after you've done all of that, now it's time to create your buyer personas. So you might have 1, you might have 2, you might have 3. It all depends. Start with 1, go through that process, and then rinse and repeat. Once you have that buyer persona created, the next step is start implementing changes in your marketing and sales efforts, being more aligned with the interest of these defined buyer personas.
Right.
And then track your successes and failures. And identify where you're doing well, what's resonating, what's not. I mean, this isn't a one and done setup. You're going to want to go back and revisit your buyer personas on a regular basis and discuss these successes and failures and make changes where needed. And like I said earlier, rinse and repeat. Continually make this a dynamic component of your business.
All right, we're out of here for today. Hopefully you guys have a better understanding of the importance of buyer personas and are excited about creating your own. As we mentioned before, be sure to check out the show notes at neongoldfish.com/podcast. This is Justin and Ken with Neon Noise. We will see you next time. Later, guys.